Joined now on the broadcast by the voice of the defending Memorial Cup champions, the Windsor Spitfires, Mike Miller. Mike, quite the season in Windsor last year. The club wins the Memorial Cup for the third time in 9 years. Kind of an open question to get us started, but tell us about the season. Bit of a weird one where they go out in the playoffs, but they end up winning it all. Any enduring moments from this playoff run? Tell us all about it.
Patrick, number one, thanks a lot for having me on. Number two, I think what stood out about this was I think there was a bit of an illusion here about the regular season for the Windsor Spitfires. When you consider the likes of Erie and London in the same conference, the Western Conference really was just a powerhouse compared to the East. And a lot of teams compiled points against the East. And, of course, their head-to-head battles were a whole different story with splitting with some of those teams. So I thought the way Windsor finished the regular season was a little bit an illusion. I thought they were a lot better team than what they were in the standings, only because the other teams were so strong. The other thing that stood out basically was that 44 days without playing a game. Erie and London continue to play on. That's the old question about rest and recovery. Everybody was very curious how the Windsor Spitfires were going to finish this thing and sit there for 44 days, whether it be a positive or a negative. Well, it turned into a positive. Windsor by far was the fresher team. Players that were injured were able to get back on track. And Rocky Thompson, who has moved on now to coaching the American Hockey League for the Las Vegas farm team, of course replaced now by Trevor Letowski, was able to get his troops together, kind of have a mini training camp, keeping a very watchful eye, Patrick, on not really overworking the players and wearing them out. So he did a masterful job of those 44 days off of bonding, systems work, and a lot of different things. And, of course, the rest is history, and the Spits win the 99th Memorial Cup.
Wanted to ask about a couple players in particular that were part of that team will be part going forward. Logan Brown, first rounder of Ottawa in 2016, and Gabriel Velarde was picked in the first round this year for LA. Fans always watching prospects, regardless of what league they play in. Tell us about those guys and their progression.
Well, those guys probably will not start the season with the Windsor Spitfires. I would expect, now this is pure speculation, Patrick, we'll see both those guys back in November. But, of course, you lose the likes of Jeremy Bracco. You lose the likes of Logan Stanley, another first-rounder for the Winnipeg Jets. He's been traded to Kitchener. Of course, when you win a Memorial Cup, you're dealing assets and trading draft picks away and prospects away. Well, to kind of even things out a little bit, the Spits have made some deals. But the real challenge for Windsor, I've mentioned in the past, this upcoming season, you look at a blue line core that, number one, first-rounder Logan Stanley, Mikhail Sergachev, who probably will play this year for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Probably our steadiest player last year back in the blue line was Jalen Chatfield. He's been signed as a free agent by Vancouver, probably will play in the American League. And Sean Day for the New York Rangers. We're losing a lot back on the blue line this upcoming season. It's going to be a very young blue line contingent for the Windsor Spitfires. But, Aaron Luchuk, who scored the winning goal in the Memorial Cup, he's back. He has been named captain. Of course, as you know in hockey, it starts between the pipes. Vancouver draft, Mikey DiPietro back for Windsor, might be the best goaltender in the league. Luke Boca, Tyler Nuther, McEnany, and the son of Igor Larionov. Igor Larionov is expected to show big things. Another young defenseman, Connor Corcoran, will play a lot as well. The Spits, defending champions, anybody that knows anything about junior hockey is you kind of get into a little bit of a rebuild here. And I think they're going to be a pretty good club, mainly because what I mentioned, the goaltending from Mikey DiPietro, and a good group, a good organization that seems to be in contention every year. I don't know if it's going to be a Memorial Cup contention, but I think they'll battle for the division.
As you said, consistently a staple among the top teams in the OHL and the entire CHL. Last thing I wanted to ask you, look at the team this year. Where do you think they fit in the overall picture? And also touch on the leadership core. You mentioned McKinney. Also, Jake Smith was trying out for the Spitfires. So it looks like two of the three overagers players with QMJHL experience.
This has kind of turned into, I guess, a blueprint for the Windsor Spitfires, players that go into the Q and all of a sudden end up here in Windsor. I think for anything else more than geographical purposes. But McEnany was a real plus. Jake Smith is going to add a little bit as well. But the leadership group to me really will be the likes of Michael DiPietro, which is odd, a goaltender, but he is for sure a leader in that room. Aaron Luchuk now, he's an overager, be wearing the C. Luke Boca, whose brother plays at the University of Michigan. I don't know if I remember in this league, and now my 10th, seeing a player that day in and day out finishes checks like he does. He doesn't score a ton, 10, 12, 15 goals, but I'll tell you what, when you're looking for energy and you're looking to set the tempo and the pace of a game, Luke Boca's another guy you got to look at. Remember the name Connor Corcoran, too. One of the great skaters I've seen since I've been in the league. He's in his second year. I expect him to do big things as well. And I think Trevor Letowski, a guy that had head coaching experience, of course, with the Sarnia Sting, and now in behind the bench.
Very good. Look forward to another good season for the Windsor Spitfires. Thanks for telling us all about it, Mike. Best of luck to you and the team going forward.
Patrick, my pleasure. Thanks a lot.
That's Mike Miller. He's the voice of the Windsor Spitfires joining us on the broadcast.
You're listening to CarStar Cape Breton Scream Eagles Hockey on 1270 CJCB.